Bumping This is the funk bass your mom will appreciate.
Isn't it terrific?
Jump around now, jump up and get down. 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 Jump around now, jump up and get.
Hey, all right, I think we are officially live. What's going on, everybody? I mean, really, today's been crazy. I'm not sure if y'all been really paying attention, but holy crap. I mean, Steven Crowder just letting loose. You have a Christian being kicked out of the Mall of America for just wearing a Jesus shirt. And of course, I mean, you've all seen the Martin Luther King statue, right? I mean, it looks like a, well, you've seen the statue. You know what it looks like. But and let's go straight over here to this Louder with Crowder story, because holy crap, he's just kind of letting loose right now. I'm actually really loving seeing it. And here's the thing. He's talking about the problem with big conservative, right? With this, all these conservative groups that are basically, let's face it, kind of just, well, as he puts it, in bed with big tech. And he's not wrong, I'll tell you what. So for those of you who don't know, I have a little bit of history working with some conservative nonprofits, and because of that limited time I was with them, I have some decent contacts still. And the stuff you hear about going on just with the nonprofit side of things is pretty insane. So I can't imagine when it comes to these media companies, what's going on with them. And of course, now everyone has their own theory as to who he's talking about. But let's at least take a clip here and y'all can kind of see for yourself a little bit of what I'm talking about.
Big tech is in bed with big con. The people you thought, the people I thought were fighting for you, a lot of it has been a big con. Now, I'm specifically avoiding naming names or going after individuals in this video because I genuinely hope that those I'm addressing, and you know who you are, have a change of heart. Don't sign these contracts. I now know what you are signing out there. I have the luxury of not having to. Let me go through this.
So, of course, everyone's acting like, oh, who could this be? Who could this be? And everyone has their own theories from The Blaze, Daily Wire, PragerU, a bunch of other ones out there. But, sorry, excuse me. Sorry, my voice is going to be gone by the end of this. But let's take a quick look at some of the stuff that he talks about in these files here, because I think we can roll out a few of these people just based on the contract itself. So here, this is more the non-offensive stuff that he went over that was in the contract. Stuff like merch rights, which, listen, if you're selling, if you're going to sell yourself to these companies, they're going to have merch rights. That makes sense. Just basically saying that they own the rights to any merch being sold for Crowder or, any other co-branded content. Email list, of course, the right to manage, grow, and monetize all Crowder email list. Very standard. Social media management, not what I think most people would want to have, but they will have the exclusive right to manage, curate, and monetize Crowder's official Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Snapchat. Well, you get the idea. They'll have full control over his social media for the most part, except for, of course, his personal Twitter and Instagram accounts. So all this stuff, I don't like the fact of anyone owning anything you produce for the most part. However, if they're going to give you a bunch of money, I mean, this stuff is not offensive, right? This stuff makes complete sense. It's in any contract you can imagine. It's relatively simple stuff. However, then we get on to the other portions of this contract. Fee reductions. And here's where it gets a little bit crazy. If Crowder fails for any reason to deliver 192 episodes of The Daily Show, including any and all ad reads, the blank promo reads approved and deemed satisfactory by the company, $100,000 reduction in the fee per instance. For clarity, anytime Crowder misses a single episode of the daily content without written blank, the fee will be reduced by $100,000. So $100,000 deduction if he basically doesn't appear for his daily show. Say something, of course, happens and he's not able to be there, $100,000 fee, which makes you wonder, good Lord, or I guess reduction in fee, which makes me think, oh, good Lord, how much are they actually offering him? It must be a killer amount. Monthly and quarterly content, if Crowder fails to deliver monthly content in any month or any of the quarterly content in any quarter, including any and all ad reads and promo reads approved and deemed satisfactory by the company, $250,000 reduction in the fee per instance, or in the fee per instance for can't speak. For clarity, anytime Crowder misses a single example of monthly and or quarterly content without written approval, the fee will be reduced by $250,000. Annual content, you get the point. Except for the annual one, the fee is reduced by $1 million. So what happens? You can see how real quickly you can basically lose all your money when you sign one of these contracts. Now, this stuff right here, I have seen a few times similar to it, right? So I've had a couple jobs where I was working with franchisees, and I've seen some crazy contracts go through. And the reality is, whenever someone hands you the contract for the first time, never sign it. Really, never sign a contract the first time it's handed to you. Always have a lawyer, look over it, and then send back one that basically takes all the BS out. And then they're going to send you a second one. And it's going to contain a little bit less BS, but you're still going to have to go through it and remove all of that again as well. This is very, very common when it comes to any contracts being signed for any business venture you might ever do. They always are including so much terrible crap that it's amazing when people actually think, oh, well, these people are good people, so I'm just going to go and sign a contract right away. No. No, because even if the people you're directly associating with are good people, their lawyers who are writing up these contracts are not good people, and they will screw you over. I have seen cases where people have entrusted their lawyer to write up a contract to send over to someone, and when they saw the contract the lawyer read up, they looked at the lawyer and went, what the hell were you doing? This is way too much. We shouldn't be asking them for this. All right, a lot of times the people who are, in charge of everything aren't even looking through these first contracts being sent out. So that's very, very common. So whenever you get a contract, always remember, don't sign the first contract you get. Never sign the first contract you get. Always have a lawyer look over it, go through everything, and probably have a few back and forths because they'll always contain a lot of BS like this. And here's the thing. Everyone's now trying to say, well, who is this? Who is this, right? Who could possibly be trying to screw over Steven Crowder with a contract this ridiculous? And everyone has their theories. He said it's not the Blaze because he was with the Blaze. He left the Blaze. He said this is not the Blaze. I mean, it might be, and he's just trying to make sure he doesn't get in trouble. I don't know, but I think we can roll out the Blaze. The next one that people are consistently talking about is Daily Wire. Daily Wire, of course, run by Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring, Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, all of them. But the thing is even though that's the one that's getting tossed around probably the most, it's the one I don't think is actually right, all because of the next part of this contract. So right here, and this is a paused moment of it where he put some more stuff up. Reduction of fee from lost revenue from boycotts, content strikes, or bans from major social media platforms. Now, this right here to me is extremely nuts. Basically, it's saying, so right here, ad drop. If Crowder is boycotted or dropped by more than 50% of his then extent advertising partners, that is 50% of the revenue from those partners, the company is not able to replace them within 90 days, the fee will be reduced by 25% until such time as the ad revenue has been restored for a period of 90 days. So if you get boycotted and the advertisers drop because of that, you will be penalized for it. And that is a crazy thing to have in a contract, and why I don't think this is Daily Wire, mostly because, as we know, the Daily Wire gets boycotted all the damn time and has lost sponsors multiple times from multiple of their different personalities on there. Of course, they lost some people from, I think it was Michael Knowles, and then, of course, from Matt Walsh. And what did they do when that happened? They propped them up even more. I mean, when they lost the contract they had with Harry's Razor Company, what did they do? They not only propped up what got them boycotted in the first place, but they also moved up, they moved up Jeremy's razors. They started selling their own damn razors. And then they got Matt Walsh to make that whole What is a Woman documentary. The whole thing that got the boycott to start, they doubled down on. So I really do not think that this is from I can't imagine something that basically says if you're boycotted, you will be penalized. I cannot imagine Daily Wire, who has doubled down anytime someone has boycotted them, ever sending something like this out. Now, again, like I said before, there are many cases I've seen where people have their lawyers send out a contract that they themselves don't even know fully what's in it. They're trusting the lawyers to take care of all of that. And so a lawyer will send out a crazy initial contract to try to get as much benefit as they can to the company, and knowing the fact that there'll be some negotiation and things cut out. So who knows? Maybe I'm entirely wrong. Maybe this is the Daily Wire. But I have a hard time at believing it. I mean, content strike. If any of the major platforms, YouTube, Facebook, yada, yada, issues a content strike, other than a company-wide content strike, such that the Crowder content cannot be monetized on the platform and the company is not able to resolve this issue within 90 days, then the fee would be reduced by 25% from that point moving forward. Again, Ben Shapiro knows Louder with Crowder is not monetized currently. They know he gets content strikes on the regular. They know this happens to him all the time. Why would that be included in the contract? That just wouldn't make any sense to me. That just really doesn't. So I can't imagine this coming from Daily Wire, but there are a few people who I could imagine it coming from. Primarily, Fox News has been looking for some talent. All right, I know some people who know some people, and they told me that Fox News is looking for actually a lot of young talent right now because a lot of their lead people are kind of moving out of it. And that would make sense. I mean, think about it. You need, you basically have a whole comedy show, political comedy show. It would be sort of like the kind of old days where I think Rush Limbaugh tried to do like kind of a political, kind of more funny political show as well. At some point, that wasn't with Fox, obviously. I think that might have been with CNN, actually. It was before my time. But the idea of kind of more of a comedy political show was something that Fox News kind of dabbled in before. It would make sense that they would offer him a ludicrous amount of money to try to get him to do a show like that. Now, obviously, you'll need to see more parts of the contract to really figure out for sure if it is Fox News or not, but I would not be too surprised, to be honest. I mean, this sort of stuff. Again, the fact that has in here that if he gets a content strike, the fees will be reduced. That boycotting would actually work. That, of course, if he's banned, he'll lose, multiple percentages depending on what he's banned from. This sounds like some boomer crap, right? This sounds like something from some guy who's been running just kind of your bog standard conservative media, not something that's been on the cutting edge at any substantial time period, at least. So I could totally see something like Fox News or some other more traditional conservative media outlets, not so much from The Blaze or even Daily Wire. Now, again, apparently there's been something going on over at The Blaze in general because they've lost a lot of talent. Of course, it wasn't that long ago when they lost, I think, Lauren Chen. I think she left not too long ago. Might have been like a year ago. And now Crowder's gone from it. I mean, they are bleeding talent, that's for sure. But it's yeah, I just don't see. I don't see Daily Wire. I don't see Blaze. I see Fox News or some other mainstream Republican groups, and that's all I can really get. But thank goodness Crowder's actually calling this out, because people do need to see this. People do need to see what's going on with some of this, because a lot of people are signing contracts they shouldn't. A lot of people are getting involved in political projects, not realizing the fact of, listen, just because we're all on the same side politically doesn't mean we all have the same motives for why we're here. I have seen people get involved in politics at the nonprofit side where I could tell this is a business for them. This is not a mission for them. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people I've met who it's a mission for them, 100%. But I know for a fact there's a lot of them out there who this is just a business. This is just what they're good at. This is just what they're running with. And you've seen other groups, of course, who act conservative to also build in or try to tap into that consumer base as well. And, I think Black Rifle Coffee said some crap that, of course, was, kind of pissed off a bunch of conservatives before as well. There's been a few other companies out there that have acted as if they're somewhat conservative, then, of course, kind of bent the knee. I mean, even Fox, again, I'm going to pull up Fox News again. Fox News has, how many times have they bent the knee? I mean, really? They've look at them during COVID. Early on in COVID, they were all about the lockdowns. They were all about, you have to get the jab no matter what, might feel about that. No matter what your doctor says, you should definitely get it. My doctor told me I can't get it because of pre-existing condition, or mostly just because I've already had COVID prior to, I got the first strain of COVID. They said I don't need the shot, and that could be, a risk factor for me. They said don't get the shot if you already had COVID. That's all I know. My doctor said that. What if Fox News go out there running constantly saying, oh, you should definitely get it. You should definitely get it. It doesn't matter. Go through a random, just some random drive-through and get jabbed in the arm while you're still inside your damn car. Nonsense stuff. So Fox News has bent the knee tons and tons of times already. So we know they're already kind of that fake conservative. It's a business for them. It's not a mission for them. Daily Wire, I believe Daily Wire when they say it's a mission for them. Even the Blaze, I got a lot of problems with some of the stuff the Blaze does, but I believe them at least. I believe they're honest. I believe Daily Wire is honest. I believe they're honest in their motives, even if I might disagree with some of the things they do. It's more than likely to me, I still think it's something like Fox News sending out crazy contracts like this. Other companies send out I just see this reeks of major corporate America type contract to me. Again, that's just me. But either way, what do you think? Who is it? Who is he talking about? Because he won't say. He keeps trying to say, he's being nice and not saying. I think he needs to let everyone know so we can all know who to avoid going forward. But of course, he's saying, oh, well, maybe they'll turn the other leaf. We'll find out. He's holding out some hope. All right, so we got another story here. Not sure if anyone out there is Christian, but this one might piss you off just a little bit. But let's watch a little bit of this video.
With religion, it's offending people.
No, it's not. Actually, it's not religion. It's about eternal life.
Okay, but it's the same thing. Okay, people have been offended, and like I said, all we were asking you is to take your shirt off. You can go to Macy's, or we can leave.
I didn't say anything though. I didn't speak. I didn't speak. I didn't say anything. Just went to Macy's.
Just enough you wear the shirt, you walk around the mall, just enough.
Oh, I wouldn't say to that.
So again, I'm giving you can give yourself options.
Why are you making sure we got the shirt?
You can go to Macy's and you can do your shopping, or you can leave the mall. Okay, those are your only options right now.
Okay.
Unless you want to be placed in another. If you want to shop here, you need to take that shirt off.
What is wrong with? What is the problem with my t-shirt? What is wrong with my t-shirt?
Okay. So here's the deal. This guy wearing a Jesus is the only way shirt with the coexist crossed out. I think that's absolutely hysterical, by the way. That is funny as hell to me. It says Jesus saves on the front, and then it says, Jesus is the only way on the back with the coexist crossed out. They were telling him at the Mall of America, of course, Mall of America, right? You know, you think they'd have American values, you know, especially since we are a Christian nation, no matter what people might think. The reality is that our founding fathers were predominantly Christian, and the whole idea of God-given rights comes from the idea of the Christian God. All right, that's the whole reason why our rights cannot be trampled on by government, or should not be trampled on by government, is because they're not given to us by government, they're given to us by God. All right, the whole foundation of our country is a Christian country. Whether you are Christian or not, that's fine, but that is the foundation of our country. So Mall of America, Christian nation, is telling this man with a Jesus Saves shirt, he has to leave because people are offended over his shirt. And I assume they're offended because of this right here, the coexist crossed out. You know, there's some people on Twitter going, oh, it's so terrifying. You know, he's crossing out the coexist because he doesn't believe that people should be together in love and friendship and all that bullshit. Like, it's just absolute insanity, right? The people are actually defending the fact this guy's being thrown out because him crossing out the coexist is now something a hate symbol of some kind, I guess. Listen, I have friends who are Jewish. I have friends who are Muslim. I tell them I think they're wrong. They tell me I'm wrong. we joke about it back and forth. All right, some of the jokes we've told to one another, believe me, cannot be said on YouTube. And why are we comfortable making these jokes? It's because we're friends. But guess what? We don't agree with one another. And this whole coexist thing is always the most dumb thing ever. How stupid can you be to actually think putting a coexist sticker on your car means anything? I mean, for God's sake, it's the most ridiculous thing ever. It's like when the beauty pageant contestant says, "Oh, if I had one wish, it would be for world peace." Like, no shit. Really? I mean, come on. Yeah, you might as well pull in the back of your car, drink more water. Yeah, it's such a brave thing to say. It's a way for stupid people to feel like they're actually taking a good stance in society. That's what the coexist sticker is. It's a way for stupid people to feel like they're doing something meaningful when the reality is, everyone thinks we should all get along for the most part. But the whole idea of it crossing out to coexist is that he's basically just saying, no, these other religions are wrong, my religion is correct. That's all he's really saying. And guess what? If you're any religion, that's what you feel. Just because you might not express it that way doesn't mean you don't think that. If you're Jewish, you also believe the coexist sticker should be crossed out like this because you think Judaism is correct and the Christians and the Muslims and the Buddhists or whatever have it wrong. If you're Muslim, you believe it should be crossed out because you think the Jews and the Christians and the Buddhists and just all of them have it wrong. It's anyone who's religious believes their religion is the only way. You cannot be a Christian and not believe Jesus is the only way. That's not how it works. If you believe there's another way besides Jesus, you aren't a Christian. You're just somewhat spiritual. You might like the Bible. I mean, hell, I think even if you're an atheist, the Bible is one of the greatest books of philosophy ever written by man if you don't believe it to be the Word of God, which for a while, that was me. I used to be an atheist for a good while there. And guess what? Even back then, I would say the Bible contains some of the greatest philosophical truths to the nature of man that it is worth anybody reading. To me, again, I said this during the last stream, it goes like Bible, and then probably like, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And then, after that, you can fill in whatever you really want. But those two are kind of right up there for greatest philosophical books there's ever been. But this is a man basically just saying, hey, I'm a Christian. Here's the thing. He's not talking to anyone. I see this going all over Twitter. Oh, he was handing out pamphlets. No, in the past he has. This time he has not. He just walked around. And they told him, they didn't tell him, hey, you can't be here because you were thrown out before. That's not what they said. They said, hey, we're throwing you out because your shirt is offending people. Your shirt is offending people. Who gives a damn? You don't think I'm offended when I see all this stupid crap happening in the world around us? I mean, all the time you go to a mall. If you go to a mall, you see something that's pretty damn offensive. I mean, go to Walmart and see, of course, the whales walking out around in there with their, short, tight pants. I mean, good Lord, talk about offensive. We don't sit there and throw them out. This person's being thrown out all because he has a shirt that references Christianity, that says he's a Christian. Let's face it, we know for a fact, if a Muslim walked in wearing a shirt that said Allah is the only way, the left would be bending over backwards to defend him if he got tossed down. We know that would be the case. Yet this man wears a Jesus is the only way shirt and everyone loses their minds. Listen, I'm not much for proselytizing for the most part. I'm really not. I'm not going to go around and, I think the guys who go out there and are holding the signs, end is nigh, convert now, I think that, I laugh, all right? I can't help it. But the reality is that we have the freedom of speech. And guess what? Here, people are trying to say, oh, it's a private mall, they can decide what they want. No, the Civil Rights Act is very plain about this. You cannot discriminate based on race, sex, or religion. This is discrimination based on religion. He was not proselytizing. He wasn't going around with a giant sign. He was not handing out pamphlets. He was walking around in a damn Jesus shirt, and you threw him out because he's a Christian. All right, that is a violation of the Civil Rights Act. A private business cannot discriminate on the basis of religion. Now, me and my more libertarian stance really doesn't like that fact. I don't like. From a libertarian point of view, I think everyone has a right to discriminate against anyone, because if you tell me that I have to serve you under the threat of a gun, which is, mind you, what any law is enforced by the barrel of a gun. If you're telling me I must serve this person, or else you will use the power of government, the power of force, then that is enslavement. All right, the baker who is forced against his will to bake that cake for the gay wedding is being enslaved by the state to make that cake. It doesn't matter if he's compensated. Guess what? Slaves at one point were compensated pretty well. There's many places around the world who said, hey, you have slaves? Well, you know what? We're going to make sure you have housing. We're going to make sure. No, it's still wrong. Indentured servitude was wrong. People, we saw happen even in America after slavery, where people try to find workarounds to not have slaves but still kind of have slaves. Listen, it's wrong. You can't force someone to work for you. I cannot hold a gun to you and say, paint this painting or else I will fucking shoot. It's ridiculous. You can't use force. You can't use force. So I don't like the whole idea you can't discriminate for any reason whatsoever. I personally think everyone has a right to discriminate for whatever reasons, private property, but that's not the law. And it's not the standard that we've upheld as a society. Either it's okay to discriminate everyone, or it's not. All right, either you can't discriminate against anyone, or you have to be able to discriminate against everyone. That's how it works. In this case, in the case that we've set as a society, is that we have established that we don't want to discriminate against anyone by law. Right or wrong, that is the law. You cannot discriminate against someone if they're Muslim and they come into your business. You can't say, oh, you're Muslim, get out. Yet, this person's a Christian. They walk into the mall, and they are being tossed out. Listen, Christians are such freaking pansies. I want to get this out right now. I swear to God, sometimes I can't stand my fellow Christians because they sit around and take it. They take that story of Jesus being slapped across the face and turning the other cheek to mean that he was saying, oh, please, it's okay, just hit me again. No, that's not what he was doing. It was done as a challenge. It was done saying, do it. Do it again. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. Hit me again. It doesn't matter. Here's my other cheek. Go ahead. That's what it's about. Yet all these Christians go and walk around like a bunch of pansies saying, oh, well, it's so sad they're throwing out this man because he's wearing a Jesus is the only way shirt, but, I don't want to get involved. Oh, come on. You'll be the first ones to sit there and bow and scrape when they sent out the lions. I mean, really, it just... Christians are such pansies these days. I mean, I'm not someone who goes around wearing like shirts like that at all. I don't put like a fish on my car. I don't do any of that stuff. I just simply say, hey, I'm a Christian if anyone asks. And if people want to talk about it, hey, I'll talk about it. But God damn, this makes me want to go out there and buy one of those shirts. For one, it is a little funny with the coexist crossed out. I think that's funny. It makes me want to go and buy one of those shirts and just walk around everywhere with it every single day. Because, listen, Christians have got to stand up. All right, you think it's bad? Yeah, these Christians going, oh, it's so bad. They're taking Merry Christmas off the coffee cups. If you think that's bad, just wait. Do you know how many people right now despise Christians? Do you know how many people despise us for who we are, for what we believe in? You know how many people despise our value system? You don't even have to even be Christian. You don't even have to be Christian. They despise our very values as a society. And the reality is our nation was founded under Christian values. So the people who hate our country also typically hate Christianity, which is why, again, they'll sit there and do whatever it takes to make the Muslim feel at home. But will throw out a man for wearing a Jesus is the only way shirt. And again, I want the Muslim to feel at home. Listen, I believe we have religious freedom in this country. I think everyone has a right to worship whatever they want to worship. I don't have a right to use force to get you to do anything for the most part. That's how I feel. I'm more libertarian with most things. I mean, I'm little L libertarian for the most part, but still, I want everyone for the most part to just relax and do what they want to do. I just want to be left alone. I want you to be left alone. This is not leaving someone alone. This is targeting someone based on their religion. I really hope someone does like one of those flash mobs at Mall of America, all wearing the Jesus Saves shirts, because that would be fantastic. That would be just fantastic to see. I would love to see it happen. Someone make it happen, please. All right, well, let's go on to our next story over here. We got this, Daily Wire. We were just talking about Daily Wire, right? You know, again, I don't think Daily Wire was the one sent the bad contract. But you know what? If they sent that bad contract to Steven, I'll eat my words for it. All right. So Daily Wire, you know, $10 million wasted for this terrible MLK statue. All right, on the short I made of the MLK statue, I said that from the angle I saw it, it looked like someone going down on someone. This one looks more like the, again, you know what it looks like. Do I even have to say it? You know what that looks like. But I don't want to talk about just what this looks like, because modern art is a problem in itself. This sort of stuff is ugly, it's hideous, it's just terrible, terrible art. You know, I think someone down here, where was it? It was a kid that said, yeah, here we go. So, but then when it came out, a little boy pointed out, that's a penis. And everyone was like, yo, that's a big old dick, man. I love this one. If you showed that statue to anyone in the hood, they'd be like, nah, absolutely not. $10 million were wasted to create a masturbatory metal homage to my legendary family member, one of the all-time greatest American families. Oh, dude, that is just... that's just a great way of looking at it. But here's the thing. I don't want to talk about just the statue, because the statue is hideous. We all know it's hideous. We all know it is absolutely awful. What I want to mention here is the $10 million. Because here's the thing about modern art. Not only is it awful, and it's awful for a very particular reason. It's awful because they can't stand society for the most part. Most modern artists cannot stand society, so they're doing whatever they can to subvert subvert the standard image of beauty. They don't like to, what we view as beauty. They want to subvert it any way they can, and this is how they do it, by making these ugly monstrosities and then acting as if it's something of beauty. The problem is good art is like a good joke, where, you shouldn't have to explain it for people to admire it. People like a good joke when they hear it because it's a good joke. Good art, you should be able to look at, and even if you don't fully understand everything about it, you should be able to look at it and understand its beauty. All right? If you have to explain it and what the hell you were thinking with it, it's not good art. And that's the problem with modern art, right? Modern art's is stuff like where the person turned a urinal upside down and said, hey, what do you know? Millions of dollars. It's not good art. Because again, you have to go and do an explanation of why the hell this is the case, right? They are trying to find ways to go against traditional beauty standards because they cannot stand the society as a whole. And here's the thing. Beauty is a connection with truth. All right, if you look at stuff that's beautiful, truly beautiful, it has some connections to truth, whether it be, something like a, if you ever, I remember when I was over in New York City and I went over to St. Patrick's Cathedral. It's a beautiful cathedral, absolutely gorgeous, especially on the inside. I was blown away. And I know there's much greater cathedrals out there than that, but that just, that's the one I've been in. It blew me away. It's because it's tied to some truth. Now, I'm not saying the truth of God. Don't worry, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I'm just saying it's based in universal truths of symmetry, of lighting, of what do you call it? Acoustics. There's things about that. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from in the world. You bring someone over from the furthest end of the earth and bring them into that place. They will recognize it as a place of beauty. All right, same thing if you go and visit somewhere like Rome. When you look at all these, like a lot of these traditional architectures, people don't have to explain to people why it's beautiful. They might have to explain to people about why it was built, the history behind it, what the people were thinking when it was built. But the reality is, if it's truly beautiful, people can just go and tell. You don't have to explain it to them. It's because it's based around, again, the truth of the world. There is whether, again, you're Christian or not, there is an ultimate truth out there. And that's what art tries to tap into. These people don't believe in the idea of an ultimate truth, therefore they go any other way. They sit there and find out ways they can go against the truth. And in turn, develop crap like this. They develop all sorts of other problems. But there's another aspect to this, and this is where the $10 million comes into play. A big thing that takes place in art is the quickest way to launder money. All right, we're just going to go down this hole, right? It is the quickest way to launder money. All right, I make a painting. That's complete crap. I just throw some paint on a canvas. Doesn't look like anything of value. Yet, you can sit there and give me $10 million for it. You then, of course, turn around and sell it around. It trades around for a while around that same price. The money gets washed, and what do you know? You have clean money. It is a great way of cleaning money. It's a great way of laundering money. Art has always been used for this for a long time, but modern art is great to use for it because who the hell would ever actually truly buy it in its state, right? I mean, think of all the money that was given to Hunter Biden for his terrible art. No, I won't say terrible. His art wasn't. I mean, it's better than mine, to be honest, but it wasn't worth what it was being paid for. That money was used most likely for bribes. It's just the way it is. Hunter Biden even said that 50% of what he made was going to the big guy, Joe Biden. So it's mostly coming in for bribes. This $10 million on this statue, you're telling me the statue really cost $10 million? I want to see the itemized receipt for this statue. How did it cost $10 million? I could understand $1 million. I mean, it'd be ridiculous, but I could understand $1 million. But $10 million. What can you do with $10 million? Well, apparently you can create a statue of a woman holding a giant penis. I guess that's one thing you could do with $10 million. All I'm saying is someone should really track down that money. Someone should really track the money and see where is it going, because, man, that's just weird. I mean, just look at that curve. I mean, come on. That's just, it's on purpose. It's gotta be done on purpose. The embrace. I mean, I'm all for having a statue of Martin Luther King, though I swear I think we might go overboard with the Martin Luther King stuff sometimes. I think it was shown that the number one name for a street in America, the most common name for a street in America, is actually Martin Luther King. Not Main Street, Martin Luther King. So, maybe we go a bit too far with the Martin Luther King stuff, but he does deserve statues. He does deserve, some degree of reverence for, his role that he played in the civil rights movement, being obviously one of the greatest leaders of it. And of course, the fact of, he somehow was shot and killed, don't tell who did that one, really. I think, there's some conspiracy theories about that one out there. Either way, I want to see an itemized receipt on $10 million. That's all I'm saying. So I got one more here. I figure if we had time, we'd pull up, and we definitely have time, it looks like. So, remember with the Twitter files? Remember when we found out that the government was pressuring social media companies to ban different ideas they didn't like? Well, it turns out not only was the government involved with it, but Big Pharma was involved in it. So Twitter was pressured by Pfizer to suppress posts questioning the vax efficiency or efficacy. So, I know some people are going to say, it's a private company. They were petitioning and they're a private company. That's what's the big deal. So here's the thing. Can you really call Pfizer a private company? I'm serious. Can you call any of these big pharma companies private companies? With all the connections they have in government, from members of government going to go serve on their boards and all the lobbying going on as well, can you really call them a private company in all seriousness? All the benefits that Pfizer gets that if you try to start up a medical company that you wouldn't get, all the benefits they've received from the government, the fact that the government also assisted in pressuring social media companies to ban people who are questioning aspects of their product. The fact that the government basically said that, hey, not only are we going to mandate people buy your product, but we're also going to give you a break so that, if anything wrong happens from it, you can't be sued. Are they still a private company? Because I would say not. I would say at that point, you are a servant of the government. I would say actually this starts... Everyone doesn't want you to go down this, but I would actually say this is a little bit like fascism in the sense that fascism normally is unification of companies, private industry and government. And I think Mussolini used to say everything for the state, everything within the state, nothing against the state. We're almost there, right? Everything has to be done for the government, which, Pfizer's doing, and nothing can be done against them. Nothing can be done against the state. Or else, of course, will ban you and make sure you're removed from social media. Pfizer, I would say, is not a private company. They receive too many benefits from the government, and the government is now mandating the use of one of their products. So here, Alex Bernson dropped records from the Twitter files on Monday stating that the board members of Pfizer pressured Twitter to suppress and censor any post questioning the efficacy of the company's mRNA vaccine. Now, you might think the vaccine is fantastic. That's fine. That's great. You know what? I know many people have had the vaccine, and thank goodness they got because they were in the 80-year-old plus range, and they probably really needed it just in case. I'm just saying. I think at the time, from what we knew, it makes sense that a lot of people would have got it. Now, again, my doctor told me not to get it because I already had COVID. I already had the antibodies. No need to get it. My wife was around me the entire time, and she was pregnant, and our doctor said, listen, you're pregnant. We're not sure what this could possibly do long term because there hasn't been any full studies on it, and we don't want a repeat of, some cases in the past where they told pregnant women things were safe and it turned out not to be safe. So they recommended for her not to get it. Now, again, this is what our doctors recommended us. What your doctors recommend you? Hey, if they said get the vaccine, hey, go right ahead. Why not? Listen to your doctor. If you don't like that doctor, go find a new doctor. And that's what you do for everything else, right? So even if you agree, though, with the vaccine, and if you believe it is one of the greatest things ever invented, if it truly is that good, why do you need to suppress anyone who speaks out against it? I've never seen a company with a good product tell people, you're not allowed to not like this product. You're not allowed to question this product. I guess Disney kind of tried saying that anyone who disagreed with Star Wars, the new Star Wars direction, was racist and evil and bigoted. So I guess they might have kind of tried with that one. But for the most part, if you don't like a product, there's never any repercussions for that, right? You can like and not like whatever products you want. But when it came to this one, for some reason now you weren't able to have an opinion on it. You just had to take it. You just had to take it. You couldn't have an opinion on it. You had to take it. But I want to talk to my doctor. No. Don't talk to your doctor. Just go get it. But I have a pre-existing condition. Listen, if you want to keep your job, get it. Well, I've already had it. I already have the antibodies. Doesn't matter. If you want to stay employed, you have to get it. If you want to go to a restaurant, you have to get it. Well, of course, it happened in New York. Why? Why was there so much attention on social media companies, so much pressure on them to ban anyone from talking about it, from anyone disagreeing? There's that great Game of Thrones quote, and I usually don't like quoting fictional books because I just think nonfiction or some more traditional books are better. But Game of Thrones had a great quote that I think everyone should know by now, where Tyrion says, when you cut a tongue out of someone's mouth, you're not proving them a liar. It simply proves you fear what they have to say. And there is 100% truth in that. I mean, if anything, the fact they were trying to pressure people off these social media platforms who disagreed with it, and it encouraged the controversy. It encouraged the conspiracy theories about it. Because if it is nothing, if it is just a wacko conspiracy theory, why are you so afraid of it? Why can't you just release all of your information? Why can't you release all of your studies? And people will say, oh, but they did, but no one believed them. Okay. And? So what? Are people not allowed to disagree? Are people, even if you believe 100% in everything they were selling us, are people not allowed to be stupid? Is that a crime now? Is it a crime to be dumb? Again, this is if you fully believe. If you fully believe everything they sold us about all of this, it still doesn't matter. Because people have a right to still believe whatever they want to believe. Whether it's wrong, right, doesn't matter. They have a right to believe it. And the fact that people were so terrified of people having a different opinion shows they were not ever able to fully back up their position. And I really wonder why that is. I think people will make some guesses. Some people will make some guesses for me. It's just, the more we find out from these Twitter files, the more we find out that the government was involved directly in the censoring of American citizens, that Big Pharma was involved directly at making it so you were not able to question one of their products, the more those conspiracy theories seem a bit more appealing. That's all I'll say on that, though, because, well, YouTube. There. Well, if this is what they're doing with Twitter, I can't imagine what they were doing with YouTube. I can't imagine what they're doing with Google in general. Either way, listen, let's see here. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and log off. It's been fun going over some of these. I still want to know who Crowder was talking about, though. I'm not sure about y'all. I still want to know who Crowder was talking about, because that is that's still an interesting story. Again, I don't think it was Daily Wire. I really don't think it was Daily Wire, just because some of the provisions in the contract doesn't seem to be anything Daily Wire would normally go for. But you never know. My money's still on Fox News. If it's on Fox News, I told you so. Either way, thanks so much for joining, and I'll be talking with y'all again, hopefully real soon.